Hello and welcome everybody. We're back here to do another mock draft, and there's been a lot of rumbling in terms of potential moves. Are the Kings going to jump out of the 4th spot? Are the Blazers going to move out the 7th spot? And I thought it would be kind of fun to see potential mock draft with a lot of chaos on. Now I didn't put it that I can switch the teams, so it's going to like keep the order, you know, the way it is set already, but that's fine. Again, there's potential for movement this year, but it could be smoke and mirrors. Again, we don't know what's going on in back channels. We don't know what agents are trying to move their players to. There's a lot of players you can think of if you sign, if the Magic take Chet Holmgren, then you know Mo Bamba's time is over in Orlando most likely. If the Knicks trade Julius Randle, then that opens up a spot for them to get either a backup power forward or a backup point guard, etc., etc. Indiana Pacers, Malcolm Brogdon might be on the way out. They may need a point guard and hope that Jaden Ivey falls to them. But let's play it out. Again, I've been reading quite a bit of different articles and news, and it's kind of hard to read through all the noise, but we'll give it a shot. With the first pick here, it's down to these three. I don't see any upsets. So we're going to do a chaos draft, and we're going to just, I think a lot of teams are bluffing. So we're going to do a chaos draft. I do believe that the Magic are not going to take Jabari or Paolo, but just for the sake of, let's just say that they go with the best talent available in terms of the most ready NBA player in terms of skill set, and that'll be Paolo Banchero. So we're going to draft him. Look at that, 6'10", 250, 17 points. This guy has like a Carmelo type body. He's actually bigger than what Carmelo was when he came out of Syracuse. So yeah, so this will be the chaos draft. If this happens, all chaos will let loose. So the next pick will be the OKC Thunder. OKC is still in, they treat their team as if it's a Wall Street hedge fund. It's about acquiring assets, as many first round picks as you can, and then you can, you know, do what you wanted. In that case, if the Magic were to take Paolo Banchero, we would assume that they would take Chet or Jabari. You don't think that they would take anybody else. And chaos drafts that do happen, it's usually 1, 2, maybe 3 moves that you don't expect that people drop that they're not supposed to drop. So in this situation, we're going to think that they're going to hold steady, and they like to draft I want to say awkward players, but players that do not fit the mold of what you're supposed to do. And they have jumped a few times with Giddey. He went higher than he was supposed to. Pokashevsky, he went higher. So OKC could give a damn about your mock drafts. They're going to go after what they want. So we are going to, let me actually move up a little bit higher. They are going to take and stand still, steady, and they're going to take Chet here. Chet is a force of nature in college. He has some nasty to him. He's able to spread the floor. His shooting stroke is very fluid. He's able to block shots. He loves challenges. And he went to the Western Conference Finals between Golden State and the Mavericks. And he told Luka, I'll see you next year, with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. This guy is not to be fooled with, and I think this will be a good choice for OKC. The next are the Rockets. I mean, it's a mismatch. There's a lot of weirdness with everybody here. I don't think that they would. You know what? They might, because the Rockets do need a 4 now. Because Christian Wood's time is over in Houston. Would a Jabari Smith be a better fit? Keegan Murray. They're not, John Wall is just going to sit there collecting his money. Christian Wood is on the way out. Eric Gordon is on the way out. Schroeder probably will not be re-signed. They're building around their young guys. Sengun is not really a building block, but he's important. Kevin Porter Jr., Jayshawn Tate, Kenyon Martin Jr. They have a lot of good young talent. So for this exercise, we are going to say that they are going to pick Jabari Smith. Jabari Smith, some have compared him to Kevin Durant. I think that's insane. He reminds me a little bit more of a more defensive LaMarcus Aldridge, high release. He can actually shoot the three. LaMarcus, I mean, when LaMarcus came into the league, they didn't want big guys stepping out that far, but LaMarcus had a nice touch. And that's what Jabari reminds me of, just with a little bit more defense. So I guess if LaMarcus and Draymond had a baby, it would be this kid. But again, this is all potential. I don't see too much nasty in him. He seems like a straightforward kind of guy. But we'll see how it goes. But he can spread the floor. So Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green can have the ball in their hand and rotate the ball out to Jabari. Did I say his name right? Is it Jalen Green? Whatever. Next is the Sacramento Kings. And for this mock draft, they are going to trade down to the New York Knicks. Now, I didn't put it so that I can switch it, but essentially this will be a pick for the Knicks. The Knicks will give up the 11th pick and 2 future first-round picks, Dallas's pick next year, and the Knicks pick in 2024, plus additional second-round picks. Maybe they'll do a sign and trade. So for all intents and purposes, this is the Knicks pick, as they just did a mock. We just did a mock trade, and they of course are going to take Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey will be the point guard that they've been wanting since Mark Jackson. They've not had a franchise point guard, and I think this is the time that they're going to push all their chips to the front of the table. Again, remember, it was a CAA Pro Day. The Knicks didn't have to be there, and this kid is a CAA client. I mean, there's a, it may or may not happen, but I do think they think the time is now. This is a good shot to get him. The Kings are willing to move out of this for future compensation, as well as a ready-made player now. Maybe that's Mitchell Robinson in a sign and trade. There's a lot of options here, but I think the Knicks have the potential of moving their chips forward and trading a whole bunch of assets, understanding that Julius is on the way out, and maybe they can get another backup power forward later on or something else, but we'll see. So that will be for the Knicks. So I have to remember that the Kings will be at the 11th pick, which I should be. So that first trade. Now Detroit is on the clock. They lost their guy. They wanted Jaden Ivey. They did not get Jaden Ivey. So their next bet is taking a player that most people have them taking Shaedon Sharpe to pair up with Cade Cunningham. I'm going to throw a wrench in that plan. Again, this is a chaos draft. Things are moving. Things are happening that people did not expect. And with the 5th pick in the draft, they are going to take Benedict Mathurin. This is an absolute stud. He is Paul George light, according to some scouts. He is a flamethrower. An absolute flamethrower. Can get hot, and he's the kind of guy in the NBA that could drop 20, 25 in a quarter. I would love him to go to the Knicks if he were to drop, but again, this is a chaos draft, so we're going to have a little fun with this. And Benedict Mathurin has now gone to Detroit. This is going to be important for later. Next up with the 6th pick will be the Indiana Pacers. They don't know what happened. They're dizzy. Their team is interesting. Again, they're in flux. They need they're gonna need a lot. Depends on what they're gonna do in the offseason, but you figure that Malcolm Brogdon is gone, Buddy Hield will be gone, Miles Turner will be gone. One or all 3 of them could be. Their backcourt of the future is Tyrese Halliburton and Chris Duarte. They did trade Domantas Sabonis, so they are short at power forward, and I think that's where they go here. They're gonna go with Keegan Murray. This kid has really no flaws in his offensive repertoire. He has everything that you can ask for in a player, in a modern player. He has the mid-range. He has the low post. He has rebounding. He defends. He could potentially spread the floor as well. This kid is going to be he may be one of the first all-stars of this draft class. This kid is ready-made right out the can. He's ready to go. The next team will be the Blazers. Most people think that they are going to trade out of this and get a pick or get a potential player that they can add to right now. There was consideration for a lot of things. They definitely need some size They are pretty short. Anthony, they got the backcourt ready. Anthony Simon and Damian Lillard are, it's just a modern version of the old. It's a small backcourt, but that can throw flames. I saw a mock where Detroit traded future assets for this pick. Jeremy Grant is a consideration, so that's what we're going to do here. The Pistons have traded Jeremy Grant for this 7th pick. Jeremy Grant is a ready-made player. He helps Damian Lillard go where he needs to go. So this pick will be for Detroit. And Detroit, after getting shocked in the first round, they are going to go and be happy that they got Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren for Detroit gives them size up front. They didn't get Chet. They didn't get Jabari. That's what they needed. And they haven't had size since, Blake Griffin was there. This is a perfect big for Detroit. He's a rim runner. He'd work well with Cade Cunningham. It'll be a good play for them. Let me actually see. All right, and the 8th pick is the Pelicans, who really benefited with that Anthony Davis trade. The Lakers' misery is the Pelicans' gain. And here, again, they're a very deep team. They were in the playoffs. They took the Suns. They actually exposed the Suns, which I feel Dallas used in the next round to beat them. If you got physical with Chris Paul and you wore him down, they showed that his stamina is not where it's at. And again, he's been in the league, 17 years? It's not expected to. I think at this point, Chris Paul is still a starter. He's still a great player, but he needs a very capable backup. But anyway, we're not talking about the Suns. We're talking about the Pelicans. The Pelicans can go anywhere here. Zion, Brandon Ingram, Valanciunas. I'm not sure if they even have a weakness anywhere. I mean, this team is just stacked. Devontae Graham, Jackson Hayes is a good young player, a little dirty in my opinion. Trey Murphy's a good player. So Herbert Jones is a defensive stud. So here, I mean, they're really the most open team in the draft, and they can take best player available. And I think they're gonna want the defense. And again, Shaedon Sharpe is dropping. I think they'll take AJ Griffin to spread the floor, potentially put next to CJ McCollum. This kid shot 45% from 3. He is the son of a former NBA player. Good stock there. I think it's Adrian Griffin that he's the son of. This is a perfect pick for them. Him and CJ would be an absolute nightmare. You got to give it to Zion, and you go double Zion, you're going to get lit up. So I think this guy is absolutely perfect with the Pelicans. Shaedon Sharpe, again, is the mystery guy. No one knows what he looks like. People, when you take a draft and you stake your name to that draft, if it doesn't work out, you're on the unemployment line. And not only are you on the unemployment line, there's potential that you may never work in that capacity again in terms of being a general manager. So Shaedon Sharpe is the man of mystery. He's exciting, but I think he has the biggest potential to drop here. And then once people start dropping, everybody's like, well, we're not taking him. They must know something. And then it just keeps going and going and going. The San Antonio Spurs are on the clock now. They've got DeJounte Murray, who's an all-star. He is one of the best thieves in terms of pickpocketing players in the NBA. They can use help anywhere. They're going to have 3 first-round picks, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 3 first-round picks. Primo is not it so far, but he's still young. Keldon Johnson was on the Olympic team. He's really good. They have a good backup in Trey Jones. So depending on whether or not they want to move DeJounte Murray is what they'll do here. But they need a Popovich-type player. We are doing the Chaos draft, and we are going to go with a foreigner, Ousmane Dieng. And the reason they're doing this is because the Spurs always go out of left field. Primo, I think they picked 10, 15 spots ahead of where he was supposed to. So this kid is tall, rangy, can do everything. Pop will salivate getting him. He might trade down to get him, but I don't think they'll risk it because I think he's jumping a lot of draft boards. So we'll say Ousmane Dieng is the pick for the Spurs. He's from New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. Look at that, 6'10", amazing wingspan, can shoot it, can defend. I think he's absolutely perfect for the Spurs. Next up, we have the Wizards. I don't believe the Wizards are going to be excited with too many players here. They need defense. They need a lot of stuff, and it all depends on what is Bradley Beal going to do. That's the major question here. What excites them? And I think if they don't have an answer to Bradley Beal, or if they want to get him help, I think they'll put him next to Johnny Davis. This kid can play one or the two. He can defend. He is aggressive in terms of getting his shot. I think he's the perfect person to be mentored by Bradley Beal, and I think this is the perfect choice for them. Is someone that can defend. And Shaedon Sharpe is still dropping. There you go. Next up, this will be the Sacramento Kings. It says the Knicks, but we had a mock trade where they took Jaden Ivey, gave up a lot of draft compensation, but they got their guy. So with the Sacramento Kings, what luck. This is someone they were considering at number 4, and Shaedon Sharpe his drops finally stops, and he goes to the Sacramento Kings at 11. Plus, they can take a swing here. It doesn't matter. And they'll still get 3 first-round draft picks. So this is actually the perfect scenario for the Sacramento Kings. And the slide stops. Shaedon Sharpe goes number 11 to the Kings. Again, he did not play at Kentucky. Nobody knows. He was the number 1 recruit out of high school. Think of LeBron James. Think of Zion. Just absolute stud in high school. Didn't get to play for Kentucky. I didn't read why. I should have probably read up as to why. Maybe he didn't want to hurt his draft stock. Maybe he just didn't care to go to college. He just wanted to get the requirement out of the way so that he can go where he wants to, but this is where we go. Next up with the 12th pick, the OKC Thunder. After being shocked that Paolo Banchero was taken first, they got Chet with the 2nd pick. So now they get to kind of roll the dice. And I think here, this play, they could go a number of different areas. I think Jaden Hardy is underrated. I think he's the best shooter in terms of just a pure scorer in the draft. They can go with the senior Ochai Ajibahi. Sorry, I didn't mean to mangle your name. I got to work on practicing that. But this kid would work well on a defender, on a team that's trying to make the playoffs, the championship contender. Excuse me. I think he would be good for a championship team. But they're going to go Dyson Daniels here. I think they're going to take another swing and take someone that is not anyone that people would predict. This kid can defend. He can shoot. There's already an Australian teammate on board. And I think that you take the best asset that you have. The best prospect that you can get. 6'6", has a motor, really good. And this is a perfect pick for OKC because they can take their time developing him. Next up, we'll have the Charlotte Hornets with the 13th pick. They have the 13th and the 15th pick. We won't do the 15th pick. I think they don't think more than 2 seconds about this, and they take Jeremy Sohan, who's considered the best defender in the draft. Baby Draymond. This kid locks players down. He has a full 48-minute motor. His form looks good. His form does not look clunky like Draymond or anybody else that defends that way, or Matisse Thybulle. This kid has a nice form. He just hasn't taken a lot of shots. Once you start practicing in the NBA, and you will practice, his repetition, it's going to become easy. I think he's become a marksman, and I think it's the perfect pick for the Hornets because they need defense. God knows. They're going to probably get D'Antoni as coach or an offensive-minded coach next because they want to really focus on LaMelo Ball's development. But LaMelo's going to need defenders, so they'll take Jeremy Sohan. Coming up, the Cavaliers. This is the deepest team aside next to the Pelicans, and they can go for the best talent. But I think this is where they take Ochai Ajibahi. God, I'm destroying this name. I'm so sorry. I'm going to do something where I get it phonetically right. I think this is the perfect landing spot for this kid because he is ready to play right now. He's a 3-and-D. They can put him on the bench and then he can come off. He can play either wing spot. And him alongside, what's that kid's name? Isaac Okoro together would be terrifying for defenses. I mean, for offenses, they would be awful to go against. And you can have different variables where you can do Colin Sexton coming in there with Darius Garland and do offensive pop, or you could do a defensive pop. Like, this just gives them too many options. They could also go Jaden Hardy if they consider Colin Sexton is on the way out. They're thinking about trading him. But for right now, for this practice, we'll do Ochai Ajabahi. Please don't beat me up because I keep mangling your name. This kid is ready to play right now. So that's the draft. This was my chaos draft. Actually, I'll move myself down here somewhere. This was my chaos draft. And again, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what people are thinking. And drafts never go the way mocks predicted to go. So this is why I wanted to do this exercise, because some teams or a few teams are always going to throw a wrench in the plans of everybody else that are mocking. So we had Paolo go first. They took a player that's ready right now to contribute and probably average 16, 17 points instead of waiting for Chet and Jabari to get acclimated. I think Jabari is probably the second closest. OKC stays true. They take another skinny guy that they can put in the post. Chet, Jabari at 3. It's kind of it's actually kind of a good fit with the Rockets, because he can camp out on the 3-point line. He can hit the mid-range shot, while Jalen Green and the other players just attack the basket. And Christian Wood is on the way out anyway. Jaden Ivey with a mock trade with the Knicks would be their franchise point guard going forward. The Detroit Pistons are just absolutely shocked, but they want to get something that they can bring to ownership and say, hey, we took the right player here, and pair him against Cade Cunningham. And I think Benedict Mathurin at 5 makes sense, because you know he's going to give you what you need. Keegan Murray right here for the Pacers. It's just a Pacer pick. He would fit right alongside Tyrese Halliburton. He would take over that power forward spot. He's ready to play now as well. This kid does everything that you can think of. He does well. So he is the prototypical Indiana Pacers pick, and this would be a dream come true for them. Jalen Duren also would go to Detroit with Benedict Mathurin when they trade for Jeremy Grant in a mock trade. So that would be very interesting. You'd have Cade Cunningham, Benedict Mathurin, and Jalen Duren as your building blocks, which would absolutely be tremendous. The Pelicans here, AJ Griffin spreads the floor, allows Zion and CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram opportunity to go to the basket and not get double teamed, and this would really be sensational for them. Spurs throw another wrench here and jump 7-8 spots like they did last time with Primo and get Ousmane Dieng. Johnny Davis comes here as a potential replacement for Beal, or someone that they can play alongside him. I think they have to consider both contingencies, and I think Johnny Davis works that well as well. The Knicks are traded this pick to the Kings in this mock scenario, and the Kings get Shaedon Sharpe alongside multiple first-round picks and Mitchell Robinson for this deal. They absolutely win the draft. They do very well here, and the Knicks get their franchise point guard. OKC takes another swing on a player that's going to take a few years to develop, but guess what? OKC has a few years to figure their stuff out. Jeremy Sohan will help shore up the defense for the Hornets, and I would actually take Williams at the 15th pick to give them their center, but they take Sohan for now, so you'll have 2 defensive studs, because they know that with Jared Allen and Kevin Love, there's too much size here. They know the Kings are not taking size, so they'll take Sohan first in case that the Cavs wanted him, and then they'll be able to get Williams at the number 15 pick, and that'll be a dream scenario because they'll have 2 defensive young kids. And then I am not even going to try to pronounce and mangle his name again. We'll go number 14. He's the most ready draft player here. Him and Keegan Murray that can play on a playoff team in the NBA this year. There's no waiting, and the Cavs want to move up. So that was my chaos draft. This was actually pretty fun. We made a few trades, and we saw different scenarios that may or may not happen. But it'll be exciting to see if all this stuff happens. If I go 14 for 14, I think I have a potential to go viral. I'll be the only one that got it all right. Oh man, this is fun. All right, so we'll see you on the next time. We'll see you in the next video. I appreciate you guys watching it. These videos seem to be very popular, so we'll keep doing this kind of stuff with the NBA, because who doesn't love the NBA, right? The NBA is the best. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.